this service call, we're in Yosemite National Park. We have 333 John Deere skid steer with apparently 7 codes. So it's down in the valley, so we're kind of at the top of the mountain. So let's go down and see what we can come up with and see what it's doing. So we found the machine. That's kind of cool, look at that. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so it's connecting here. Okay, so it has a whole bunch of codes here. But for some reason, when I click on the code, it's not showing me the last hours. I think it's because I'm using Service remote because I don't have cell service. But I checked through the EMU, which, if anybody wants to know, this is the EMU right here. This thing. They call it the EMU, but it's actually a controller. It's not just gauges and stuff. So I checked that, and basically all of these codes are from like 1.9 hours. It has 129 hours on it, except for the rail pressure code. So that's the only one we're gonna shoot right now, because all the rest of these are old. It probably had an issue when it was brand new. It looks like it was a dead battery or a low battery when it was new, but I'm gonna check that rail pressure code. I checked the fuel filters, and there's actually not much in the fuel filters. There was a little bit. Yes, this is a pan. I got it from when I worked for Joe. But I don't want to say it just needs fuel filters because it's a long drive up here. But maybe there was air in it, so let me bleed it and run it and see if I can get it to act up. Okay, so the low pressure pump's right there. You can see that. And it's running. Well, right now it's not because the key's not on, but when the key's on, it's running. But I can't get it to prime. So make sure I open the valve, which I did. So these are Yanmar engines, if you're not aware. Probably can't see it, but it says Yanmar on the valve cover. But these do not have a low pressure sensor like a Deere engine would, so it'll throw a rail pressure code, but you gotta make sure that you check the low side too. So I don't think this pump is working. So this is after the filter, so I'm gonna pop this off and see what comes out, because I can't really get to this one right now. Let's see if that helps it. Also, injection pumps, even these ones, are supposed to be supplied with about 10 psi of low pressure fuel. But I've noticed that a lot of times if a low pressure pump fails, the engine will still run. It just, you can notice it when you go to change the fuel filters or like under heavy load. So it's technically supposed to always have fuel going to it, but if it's not, doesn't have any air in it or anything, and you haven't opened the system, a lot of times it'll still work. Okay, so I was mistaken. I said to check it here, but this is actually the line from the tank, and then it goes through the water separator first and then up and around. So I checked it here. The spec is 1.5 to 2 psi, and it's supposed to be 1/4 gallon in 60 seconds. And it was, I mean, barely dripping out of there. I only ran it for about 30 seconds, but it wasn't nowhere near what it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace that pump and these 2 hoses, and then I'm gonna replace the fuel filters, and then I'm gonna check to see where the fuel tank breather is. Oh, and it also says 4 Yanmar engines, so it's a Yanmar. Okay, so we drove down to Yosemite Valley Lodge because I couldn't get any service to look up parts, but I could get a phone call out, which is really strange. So I have Verizon, and then I have this little box right here for Wi-Fi. It's also Verizon, but nothing. So I drove down here, got the service. The pump's in Lathrop, so we're gonna get it in the morning, and then I'll be back up here tomorrow. But I'm gonna eat some lunch, and I'm gonna walk around for a minute here and see what I can do. Okay, so we're back here in Yosemite. It's the next day to work on our machine. So the customer wanted a service, so a 500-hour service. It only has 125 hours on it, 126 hours. But he asked for service because it's severe, and I recommended replacing the fuel filters anyway, so he's like, just go ahead and do it while you're here. So we got the engine air filters, the 2 fuel filters, this is the oil filter, this is the hydraulic tank breather that goes on there. We got the fuel pump, we have some fuel line. I thought this was special, the fuel line, but it says just to use this, so that's what we're using. And then this is the fuel tank breather. I wanted to get this to just to be safe. And we got oil, and then that's just waste oil. So we're gonna do this first. We're gonna see if all this works out, and then we're gonna do the service here. I got the pump out. It's not really that hard to get off. It's got the bolts in there, but they're slotted just kind of like this, but you can't see them, but just like this, it's slotted. And then it says it's non-serviceable, but it looks like the bottom comes off. I'm gonna see if there's something stuck in it. All right, so let's do the same test we did yesterday. I just don't have that clear hose because this is the hose I haven't cut yet. So let's turn the key on and see. Oh yeah, look at that. That's so much better than it was yesterday. So lift pump. So now let's do the service. Okay, now on to the service. So the reason we're doing the service at 124 hours is because the initial service is 250 hours is the first one. Well, I spoke with the customer and he wants to cut the service intervals in half because this is kind of a severe environment. And also he asked to get it done, so that's why we're doing it. So it's just to give me basic service. One of the fuel filters is right there. You probably can't see that. Right there. The other one is obviously the fuel water separator here. Engine oil filter's down there. And then we're gonna do the hydraulic tank breather, which is right there, that chrome inline filter. But then we're also gonna do the tank filter because of the issues we were having. So the tank breather filter is right here, which you probably can't see that either. Let me get a light. So it's this cylindrical thing right there. And then this one is the def tank, which we're not gonna do that one. But I think that one is actually supposed to be done at 1,000 hours, but we're just gonna do it anyway because it's not that expensive. They hold 3 gallons of oil. And I'll show you where the drain plug is. It's down underneath, but that's actually pretty easy to get to. Okay, so it's right down here. It's this panel. So as far as I know, on this style of skid steers, the older ones are different, but on this, there's some kind of a panel here for the oil drain. So then these are just 13s. Okay, so surprisingly, there's not a lot of stuff in here, but here are the drains. So this one is hydraulic, as you can see the little label. This one is engine. So on the older ones, there's usually only the engine, and the hydraulics is kind of a pain in the butt to drain. But for this particular one, it's not bad. So it's just O-ring face. So what you can do is, I've used an adapter to a Milwaukee pump, but I'm just gonna drain it in that little pan. So I'm gonna take these 2 bolts out as well. Okay, holds 3 gallons of oil. That little pan is not 3 gallons, but it comes out slow enough, and I don't have anything else small enough that I'll just watch it. We got the engine oil still draining. It takes quite a while, even when they're hot, just because the way the hoses and stuff. Got all the filters changed. The air filters were actually pretty bad. I brought them just in case, but the customer said to do them, but I was just gonna check them anyway, but they definitely needed to be done. So then all the filters here. Now we just gotta put the oil in it and run it, grease it, and then we gotta run it to make sure that code doesn't come back. Okay, got it all back together. We bled the fuel system. Now we gotta put the panels on, grease it, and then I wanna run it for just a minute to make sure that we don't get the low pressure code again. Okay, it's all done, all ready to go. Maybe I'm just biased, but I think these are way easier to work on because you can get, you know, the lift arms go up, the side panels come off, this comes open. But I've seen on the service trucks page recently that a lot of people are saying that they're really, John Deere skid steers are really hard to work on. So the older ones that were made by New Holland are kind of a pain in the butt. But these I feel like are easy. Like the Cats, the door opens and you have to do everything through the back. Or these, you can have the cab up and you can basically get to everything. So there's that. Till next time, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube algorithm stuff would be much appreciated. There's also a membership if anyone would like to join.